Hey, I didn't know. Okay. Hello, podcast world. Good evening. This is Chats with Baba, brought to you by the Lighthouse for Academic and Cultural Excellence. The purpose of this podcast is to inform, empower, and educate parents of young Black children. Parents are the first and foremost teachers in their lives. To inform parents is to enable them to release the natural genius in Black children. Black children have untapped and underdeveloped gifts. The quality of experience and exposure lays the foundation for life. We want to move from miseducation to education. Our goal is to strive for excellence. It's been a minute since I've talked to you, and there's been so much going on as it impacts the lives of our children. This information is good and relevant for all children. I specifically speak to the audience of the parents of young Black children because it's our children who seemingly get underserved by schools. Not all schools, that's not an indictment, but if you just look at the data and reports that I see often, it always concerns me. And so tonight, I want to share a few things with you relative to the impact of COVID and what that means in the long range. Yesterday, in my reading, I came across a statement by the late Malcolm X. He says, "It's only a fool who lets the enemy teach their children." Whoa. Let me say that again. It's only a fool who lets the enemy teach their children. I've been in the field of education for more than a half century, more than 50 years. And I've devoted my life, if you will, to the area of early childhood. What I've come to believe that it is those critical years that lays the foundation for children for life. If we don't get it right there, then they carry baggage into their adolescent years, they carry baggage into adult years, and they have unresolved issues that we'll speak to later on. My last newsletter came the week after Mother's Day. And I was basically saying a happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers, all the adults who take care of our children. And I say that to say that how much mothers mean to us as a friend, as a confidant, someone we can talk to. And I just wanted to say thank you to them because it's not easy in today's world. My late wife, as I was saying to my granddaughter today, I wish your Nana could have lived to see you where you are as a young lady in college. She'd have been very proud of you, you know. And her daughter, our daughter, your mother, is just a continuation of from one generation to the next. Yeah, moms are someone who are hard to beat, hard to beat. And so, as I say, you know, I try to address this podcast to the mothers. Now, today is not going to be an easy one. When I say easy, you know, sort of looking at, here we are, the first week in June. Within the next 10 days or so, schools that haven't closed will be closed for the summer. And there are a variety of activities going on for a host of reasons. Reports are beginning to come out that talks about the impact of COVID. At first they say, well, you know, we'll get over this. What the reports are beginning to show is that COVID is having a devastating impact on children. And these vaccines can't fix that. The vaccines may be able to prevent further COVID kinds of things, but it can't undo the damage that's been done to the children relative to their mental health and their skills in school. If you think about it, the last school year was the year of 2018, 2019. So in the spring of 2019, when school closed, so you have 20, 21, 22, almost 3 years where there's been disruption in their teaching, learning, and socialization. Socialization is what children do with each other when they're together in preschool, the early grades. They interact with their friends. All of that has been denied. So schools came up with SEL, social emotional learning, and they have a set aside time for that. But you can't package up socialization. It doesn't work that way. You know, it's something that has to be, it's a natural interaction. You can't stage socialization. And so we have to look at that. Our goal, what we must do, we must protect our children. We must, if we don't do anything else, we must protect them. There's a lot of bitterness going on in America today, politically, and a host of other reasons. Socially, people not getting along. So we have to circle the wagons around our children and try to figure out to recover from the long-term effects of COVID-19. Can it be done? Absolutely. But it's not a quick fix. If you think about anything in your life, my life, anyone's life, there's been a 3-year disruption. Just look at the labor market. People have been out of work for several years, and they've figured out alternative ways of sustaining themselves and making a living. They're not rushing back to work, you know, and places trying to hire people and so forth and so on. And folks are saying, I'm not going back there. I'm not going to go back and do that anymore. I've figured out an alternative to going to the job 5 days a week, getting up and so forth and so on. All this is a result of COVID. So we have to figure out, with resources in the community, how do we fix this 3-year gap? It's a 3-year in terms of knowledge, skills, and disposition. Those are the 3 things that we generally look at in education. What knowledge should children have learned? What skills should they have developed? And what are their feelings as they are growing and developing? Don't expect school, assuming that all schools are open in the fall, that everything is okay and it's business as usual. Somehow we have to be vigilant. We have to be assertive, trying and helping schools to figure out, what do we do about this 3-year period? Children that have less resources were impacted the greatest. And unless we attend to that, it's going to sustain itself throughout their life. So what I am saying to you, podcast world, turn to your school system, turn to your church, turn to your boys club, girls club, turn to the other social service agencies who can offer some support, some assistance in terms of this impact as it affects our children. We have to, it's not an easy pill to swallow. We have to fix it early on to prevent further damage as they get older. I'd rather see us put in some time now to see what schools and other support agencies can do to shore up their mental health, to shore up their knowledge and skills, and to let them know that there is support for them, because a lot of things are happening. the shooting in Texas the other day. Children are aware of things around them, and they're trying to figure out the impact on their lives. So they need to know from us that we are there to support them. We are there to be their shield as best as we possibly can, and so forth and so on. So all of that to say that as the summer approaches us and schools are closing, I would suggest you do as much as you can to shore up their reading skills, the libraries, public libraries, get a membership in the public library, allow them to do as much reading, play some word games with them, play some number games with them. And if you have access to technology, the internet, all of the skill areas that they should have developed are available. The other piece of it is many high schools have what they call service learning projects or community service activities, where the older students have to do so much in terms of helping out in the community. What I do know is that a good high school student can help elementary school children with their reading and their math skills and science and technology. So it's not going to be an easy task. We have to be diligent about it. We have to stay the course. And again, it's not a quick fix. There's an untold damage. The untold damage is if we don't do anything about it. That's the untold damage. Right now, it's what resources we can get, what materials, what support we can get to shore up the children. I know this is it's not a good message, but it's a message that has to be attended to. Because if we don't do it, the long-term effects will just carry over into their adolescent life and their adult life. It's enough as you become as when they get into the intermediate years and then the adolescent years. It's enough getting through those years in terms of the things that any child has to go through developmentally, and then that's compounded if there's a void in their knowledge and skills. It just worsens the situation. So I say to you, as I bring this podcast to a close, and I'm going to address some of this in my newsletter that will go out this week, that this has happened. And the question is, what are we willing to do about it? And what can we do, and what are we willing to do? Again, it's not a quick fix, but it is fixable. So with that, let me just bring this podcast to a close, and I'll be talking about some of the skill areas and things that can be done in subsequent sessions on the podcast. So have a good evening. Thank you very much.